All right, let's get right to it. After falling for a majority of the session, the market's trying ever so hard to make a comeback, at least get back to where we started the session. As you can see, the Dow off 159, but generally slightly lower in the trade today. Of course, this is wholesale inflation cooled in the final month of 2023. The December producer price index coming in softer than expected at 1% year over year, falling 0.1% from November. And while inflation is moving in the right direction, you could say, it's the first round of earnings that's actually weighing on the markets. The Dow on pace to snap a two-day winning streak, thanks to United Health Group shaving off about 130 points from the exchange, even though the insurance giant beats on both top and bottom lines. In its fourth quarter report, it did reveal medical costs have shot up by 16%. Four of the largest U.S. banks reporting mixed results today. J.P. Morgan, Citigroup, B of A, Wells Fargo, all slipping, although Citigroup managing to turn it around. Citigroup up 1%. We're going to dig into these reports later in the show. But first, let's talk about BlackRock's earnings, the biggest asset management firm in the world, posting strong fourth quarter numbers and announcing a $12 billion acquisition of Global Infrastructure Partners. It wraps up an historic week on Wall Street as the SEC finally approves the long-awaited spot Bitcoin ETFs from 11 firms, including BlackRock. By the way, the Bitcoin ETFs officially began trading yesterday and on day one saw 4.6 billion in volume pile in. Remarkable. So who better to talk about this than BlackRock CEO Larry Fink himself, who is here to break it all down with our Charlie Gasparino. Charlie, take it away.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm a little nervous. I'm in Liz's chair, but I think we'll get through this.
You like it?
Yes, it's very comfortable. I'm not going to get too comfortable. She's back Monday. Great day for you guys.
Thank you.
Big deal.
Yeah.
$10 trillion, back to $10 trillion in assets. I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. And we're going to get into other issues, including Bitcoin, ETFs. But I got to ask you this, start off the bat. I saw Bill Ackman today on CNBC. And for some reason, he brought you up. And he said, Larry thinks there's going to be two rate cuts. I say three. Larry was wrong. I don't know why he had to mention you. But in any of it, I think maybe that... Anytime your name gets mentioned, ratings go up, I think. But anyway, it attracts a lot of attention. What do you make of this? Are you going to stick with your prediction for 2 instead of 3? He seems to think inflation's cooling enough, obviously.
And we saw yesterday's inflation number a little higher.
Right.
Inflation's, in my mind, a little stickier at 3%. I'm not here to say it's going to be 2 or 3. But I do believe inflation is stickier than maybe what I did not hear what Bill said. But importantly, the U.S. economy is stronger than most people think.
Yeah.
Companies are having problems finding good talent.
Still, I keep reading that
wage inflation.
You guys laid off some people. Citigroup laid off.
Yeah, but I mean, net, we are up people.
Right.
I mean, so. And I think what's dominating the headlines are those type of points, but they're not the headlines that of all the people are hiring is not part of the headlines. So I think the economy's in a very good position. I think the economy is going to get stronger, by the way, if there are 2 or 3 easings into the latter part of this year. So I don't think there's much of a debate here. I tend to believe that we have a stronger economy than some people believe. I think the innovation, the ingenuity is propelling this economy. Let's be clear. Those who are earning lower wages, we witness very large increases in minimum wage. Those people who...
So you're saying the wage rates are now going up? Finally.
Oh, wage rates. We've raised minimum wage. Many organizations are paying above minimum wage. So if somebody was being paid $10 an hour, now they're being paid $20 an hour. All that money is going back into the economy. It's not like somebody who's earning lots of money and got an increase in that money. They don't have to spend any more money in the economy.
But isn't inflation still, aren't prices still high? We're talking about the rate of inflation that's coming down. Is that a difference that should be made here?
Well, I think one of the fundamental reasons why inflation is coming down, we've seen a dramatic decline in energy prices. We've had OPEC reducing its production 3 times, and they're having a hard time keeping energy around $80 a barrel.
So you think there really is a decline in prices, a real decline in prices?
In energy prices, in the gas pump, there certainly is. Okay. We're seeing that right now. But we're not seeing a decline in wages. We're seeing still increases, and that's what Chairman Powell recently said. They're now focusing on wages, focusing on other areas, looking at inflation. And we'll see about the economy, where it ends up over the course of the year.
And this is going to be a wild year.
Yes.
You know, now that we're on Ackman, I'm compelled to ask about this because it's on every. And you're a Renaissance guy. You talk about everything. You know, he's now become some sort of a education reformist. I mean, he's basically he took on Claudine Gay, the Harvard president. He's now saying he's going to create a think tank to reform education because it's too woke and DEI focused. What do you think about that? Do you think he has a point, or do you think he should be wasting this time? Is this a waste of time?
I commend Bill in what he's doing. I think he has an opinion. He's expressing it with facts. He's expressing it with a lot of fortitude. Look, he's spending his own money. He believes in this. This is what this is a democracy. I applaud what Bill is doing.
Do you think he's right about his assessment of U.S. higher education?
I think there's some universities that have gone way too far, and some that have not. I don't want to put a blanket statement. My association with NYU over the last 30 years, I believe it has not been a target of some of this, and it's been governed better. But are there incidents at every university that I see that kind of frightens me? Yes, and but to me, this should not be a major component of how we move our economy forward. But it is a big point.
Okay. Assets are now back to 10 trillion. Now, what was interesting, I mean, I follow your assets, because that's what nerdy business journals like me do. So I believe it went in 2022 as low as 8.5 trillion.
Yep.
It starts creeping up, and you're back to 10 trillion.
Yes.
Is ESG back? I mean, is this because
of... No, Charlie.
I know you hate those letters, but I mean,
No, I mean, the fact that I believe is so important for our shareholders to understand and our clients to understand. In the last 5 years, clients awarded us $1.9 trillion of new money. This is not market movements. Forget about markets go up, markets go down.
Right.
We were awarded $1.9 trillion of more mandates. And that is across clients worldwide. That's clients in the pension fund community. It's in wealth management. It's insurance companies. No firm has been awarded this scale of assets.
Even as some people pulled, meaning the red state guys pulled?
Well, let's be clear. If my net assets is 1.9 trillion increase, how about this one? In the fourth quarter this year, we were awarded $1 billion in new money per day.
That's amazing.
Okay, so there are people who have pulled money from us.
Right.
And our job is to protect each and every one of our clients' money. Our job is to be a fiduciary to every one of our clients' money.
Right.
Well,
as someone like me who looks at trends,
wouldn't you say that's an incredible trend?
It is incredible, and I won't use the letters ESG, but it's sustainable coming back after taking a lot of knocks.
If we want to take the subset of sustainability out, it's growing. It never went away.
Okay.
There is, for example, we invested $550 million, Charlie, in Occidental Petroleum, as they are becoming the world's leader in carbon capture, and this is in Texas. They have ambitions, to put 30 more of these type of factories, which cost about $1.5 billion each. And we are co-partnering with them. So we're working alongside one of the great energy companies in the United States, and they believe they have the technology also, to decarbonize, and that's where we're seeing great sums of money. I was in Asia recently, and governmental leaders throughout Asia are saying, we are very concerned that we need to get energy security. Energy security is becoming the tantamount conversation everywhere. They're kind of annoyed that OPEC continues to lower production because they don't want oil to go down below. And so they're asking us, can we help them invest in their country in wind and solar? they're still going to use whatever they have. If they have coal, they're going to use
So
it.
is it fair to say the ESG's growth now, or sustainability's growth?
Yes, go.
Yeah. I know that gives you shivers, but is it overseas more than it's here?
Well, with the IRA in the United States, it's growing here too. And
Okay.
let's talk about Texas, one of the great states.
Right.
It's the #1 state for hydrocarbons, but it's the largest state in the United States in wind and the largest state in the United States in solar.
So there is a business here that's going to keep going.
Absolutely. And look at, like every trend, like maybe it's going to be Bitcoin or something else. Things get over-positioned, overpriced, overhyped.
Right.
But the reality is, if there's a fundamental reason in doing this, and when I spend time with governmental officials worldwide, they want to find more independence of their energy position. A country like India that's growing 8% a year, the energy demand to grow at 8% a year is tremendous. They need to be investing in wind and solar, and the amount of capital they're going to need is enormous.
Do you think you might have went too far in messaging ESG at some point?
Well, I never believed where I was, where I should have been more focused on. Most of the time when I
read your speeches, they were like pretty moderate,
Correct. But where I believe I could have been more literate.
Right.
When I was talking about ESG, I was really talking about sustainability.
Right.
I was not, and I was never referring to the other letters. And the other letters have different meanings for everyone. I think on the E side, we all could talk about it. We all could debate it. And on the G side, actually, there's very little debate on governance of corporations.
Sure. Let's get to Bitcoin, because
Sure.
This is a huge thing. I mean, I see it as the minute Larry Fink put his imprimatur on this thing, it was going to go through. You don't have to take credit for it, but you can. Is it you that pushed this through? Because Gensler hates it. I mean, they were dragging their feet on this thing for years.
There are still a lot of people who hate it. So
Gensler still hates it, apparently.
So I'm not going to talk about Gary, but I did believe, and it still remains, and this is Gary's position, that it's still one of the vehicles for illicit activity. So I think no one can deny that. Where I came around to it, and I came around to a different interpretation 3 years ago, that there's a lot of merit to it. There's a lot of opportunity. It is a great store, and this is where you can debate. Is it a good store?
But you know how it's made. A bunch of computers figure out
But
math problems.
But the issue is if people believe that it can be an asset that can be cross-border. Right. And let's be clear, if you're in a country where you're fearful of your government, and maybe this is one of the reasons why China has banned it. Mm-hmm. If you're in a government where if you're in a country where you're fearful of your future, fearful of your government, or you're frightened that your government is devaluing its currency by too much deficits.
Like us.
I'm not going to go there.
The little elephant in the room here.
Yeah. You could say this is a great potential long-term store of value. And as I said, it's like digital gold. And I believe...
But you still can't buy a slice of pizza with it. Isn't that kind of odd that we're...
But you can't buy a price of pizza with palladium or gold.
No, but there you can do stuff with them. I can get stuff with... I mean, people use gold for stuff, right?
But you could buy and sell your Bitcoin, no different than gold. So it is very...
What is it? But gold is put in like...
Jewelry.
And iPhones, I think there's in some electronics, there's gold.
It's more silver and nickel.
But you see what I'm saying? There are practical uses. Bitcoin, it's literally a ledger, right?
It is a ledger, but it's an international ledger. It's cross-border. It's bigger than any government.
I agree with you. It would have blown up, I believe, in FTX, and it didn't after FTX.
There's a lot of bad players in all startup things, and this was a great example. I think it's now becoming more legitimatized.
Right.
I think the advent of Bitcoin ETFs is an example that we're legitimizing it. We're creating more safety.
Well, let me ask you this. Will you do another ETF? How about an XRP ETF? I know you got Ether out there. How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't. And you don't want me to.
I do.
Well, I can't.
All right. They're giving me the rap. Thank you.
Charlie, thank you.
You're always a good sport.
It's always to be good here.
You are the best in the business. Remember, Larry Fink started, I know this is because I'm a geek, started BlackRock at 0. It's 10 trillion. It's amazing to me. Back to you guys.
It is remarkable. Larry, great stuff. Charlie the Geek, thank you so much too.